What's going on, everybody? It's the Crypto Wonder. Hope you're doing well. Let's get right into it. I'm going to describe the analogy of the crypto Nore doors, right? In the entertainment business, whether it's music or filmmaking, acting, etc., show business, there's an understanding, quiet is kept, or maybe it's not as quiet. Maybe it's conspiracy, or maybe it's not. That when a person reaches a certain level in their journey, right, they're given three options, for example. One option, they arrive at a fork in the road, some type of crossroads where they have to make a choice now. Do you choose option one, where you have to pretty much possibly engage it in activities with members of society who live an alternative lifestyle and activities, everything you can think of when I talk about activities. We're all adults here. Pick up what I'm putting down. Option number two, you have to conduct, they say, maybe engage in rituals or sacrifice, things of that nature. And it could, people of any type of lifestyle could be involved with that. Option number three is when you choose to go your own way, right? And that's what you find here, right? There have been countless examples and reference that's been made in the entertainment world regarding, people talking about Illuminati and, oh, you gotta go through this threshold or go look behind the curtain or go behind the curtain, and then when you do these things and you pick door number one or door number two, you're supposed to be afforded, success. All your wishes will come true, right? But there are conditions. And that's pretty much what I mean when I bring up the allegory or the example or analogy, if you will, of the crypto Nore doors. Because the bottom line is you want to be as possibly as famous or as rich, right, as you can possibly be. But there are conditions. I look at cryptocurrency and I look at what's been going on in this community, DeFi, decentralized finance, and Hex pulsechain. And I'm watching, I'm learning, observing the differences of opinions that people have had as of late. And as recent as within the last, you would say, since pulsechain launched, within the last several months. Those who were once staunch advocates for Hex, proud, diehard believers, been in there since the beginning, called themselves self-proclaimed OGs, right? Have since jumped ship and have changed their opinions, their view. They want to describe it as what Richard used to describe it as updating their worldview, and they want to allow themselves to be open-minded, quote unquote, to builders, new ideas, having discussions with people who are promising new coins, new projects, this and that, onto the system, and would use reasons such as, you're bringing more eyes and attention to pulsechain, or, you're allowing some type of revitalization, and it's not going to be a dead chain, and you need people to utilize it and do different things, etc., etc. And this is what you have here now, right? And these are things that are being supported by people who were once hardcore believers in the teachings that Richard Hart delivered to the world with respect to cryptocurrency, what crypto is and how it should be utilized in the best ways so that you and every participant can have a great experience. Now it's different. Now you have sort of like a changing of the guard or of the tides of the beliefs, and those who believe in RH and want to continuously spread that type of message that he's taught to reduce the risk of loss of crypto by speaking about the principles that have allowed these same OGs to achieve success. These RH Maxis, including myself, are now enemies of, the state, if you will, or, we're villains. We're villains, vilified. Why is that? It's so bizarre to me. It's very strange how, people think that if you allow builders to come in, and let's say a builder decides to create something great, and it works, and it helps the community, people really believe that Richard Hart supporters will then end up looking stupid. People believe that Richard Hart supporters will no longer be credible if a builder comes in and does a great thing and, introduces a great project. Because they suggest and they've said that no one is going to listen to RH Maxi anymore. No one's going to listen to RH Maxi tripping people over with the same messages that, basically Richard Hart has been teaching for years if a builder ends up creating something successful. I find that very, very, very interesting. You know why? It's because these messages are coming from former, Richard Hart supporters. So let me get this straight. You say that you've been shilling Hex. That's all you've been doing. All of a sudden now you want to welcome everyone who has different ideas outside of Hex to let's have a conversation and present it to the community and encourage, welcome new ideas and new changes, etc., etc. Take a gamble, and if somebody wins, you'll be the one to say the RH Maxis were wrong. You'll be the one to support that the RH Maxis were tripping people over by teaching people the same things that RH used to teach and has taught for free. What does that say about you if all you did was shill Hex? If all you did was toe the line? If all you did was from the beginning support Richard Hart and the Hex community and contribute in innumerable amount of ways to help the community? What does that say about you? Is this type of talk, folks? See, people, you have to think critically for yourselves. You have to think critically for yourselves, because let's look at this here. If a Richard Hart former supporter says that a new project founder becomes successful, and by becoming successful that makes the RH supporters look bad because they were tripping people over with the message and teaching people about no admin keys, The same principles that Richard has taught for years, right? No middlemen. Where's the code, etc., etc.? You're supposed to own your crypto. Don't leave your crypto on any exchanges. If that is what you describe as tripping people over, what does that say about you? And in essence, if this is what you're saying about RH Maxi, you might as well say it to RH himself, because what you're doing is disrespecting RH indirectly. Because what are RH maximalists? Believers, supporters, and folks who want to just push the goodwill that started from RH. It's just, this is what I mean, people, by saying critical analysis is very important. You won't find me anymore like telling the people I've onboarded to listen to folks in this community, especially former OGs who have become successful from the same token that allowed them to experience financial independence. And today, these tokens, it seems like, doesn't matter, because the narrative has since shifted to incorporating and encouraging new projects to come into the fold, give new people a chance. You can't stop people or gatekeep anyone from creating anything in a free market, and especially in cryptocurrency. So that's going to happen regardless. Regardless. But when you say that the folks who want to remain close to the core principles that allowed you to experience financial freedom are wrong, those people are wrong, that makes me question you and everyone who thinks like you. You see, folks, this is where we at some point you have to draw the line for yourself, because crypto, again, is an individual person's game. It's a solo sport. You have to think for yourself. Crypto is for yourself, as far as we need a community to allow, these consensus networks to operate and these coins and tokens to work and give it value. But ultimately, it's you that decides when to buy and sell. This can't be stressed enough. A person's views and opinions and thoughts don't matter. Don't take what I say as law. Don't take what anyone says as law. Verify. Don't trust. Verify the information for yourself, right? To reduce your risk of losing. Because it's this type of thinking here, the mixed messaging that you get from these OGs, that are not going to help you. They're not going to be beneficial for you in your quest to be to allow crypto to afford you potentially mad gains. This is not going to help. Listening to mixed messaging, flip-flopping. One day you're an advocate, the next day you're an antagonist. These things don't help new people, new eyes, and folks who discover Hex and the pulsechain network. We forget. We think sometimes that, the whatever's going on in our minds and what we think things are is how things should be, and it's everything furthest from the truth. The network is growing every day. New people are going to discover Hex and pulsechain. And when they find, these things on the internet being told by OGs who were once believers and are still around, and then are giving you a different narrative, but they're still around, and they're telling you that what got them successful no longer counts. It's about celebrating new stuff. Meanwhile, the new stuff hasn't proven itself yet. People barely have any type of, experience in crypto, and if they do, they could still make mistakes. The majority of cryptos that are out here amount to nothing. They're just gambles, they're scams or whatever, garbage, just riddled with opportunity for you to experience consistent loss, what is a new person coming in who doesn't know anything going to believe or going to see or going to even understand? They're not going to want to participate in something like this. Your message has to be consistent, and these people are giving you inconsistent messaging. Contradiction. This is what you're being faced with today. This is what's happening today, folks, and it's unfortunate. You know, I'm not a perfect person, but I try to be cognizant of what I'm saying. You know, a lot of people talk and don't think. They don't think before they speak. And that's an example right there of someone who's not thinking before they speak. Imagine if I was an OG in Hex, as far as day one, day whatever, you know, pre-big payday. Let's give it that. The first 350 days in Hex, amassed untold winnings. And then I fast forward to 2024. And I'm telling people, listen, why don't you diversify into new projects and new thoughts and new ideas? That's what 2017 was all about. Gambling with ICOs. That's what 2018 was about. Gambling with ICOs and IDOs. That's what 2019 was about. More of the same for 2017 and 18. All of these things, there's always going to be opportunity for people to pitch their thoughts, their plans, their promises. Doesn't mean that every promise that's thought of or created or pitched or shilled will be winners. I'd rather stick close to the winner. That's me. And I will not support any self-proclaimed OG's opinions or thoughts that have since shifted in such a drastic way where they can't even see how they're tripping over their own feet. At some point, you know, a person has to see that individuals like that need serious help, and you don't need to listen to them anymore. Because, like you've heard already, they've already been rich. They don't have the same issues like everyone else does, who has to deal with, you know, monetary constraints. They don't have it. Their reality is not what it once was. And even in situations like that, when you see and hear these thoughts from these people that were once in your shoes, right? That were once learning, that were once trying to believe in something, believe in the token, that were once attacked. And you find it's almost like, wow, they don't care or respect their beginnings of what led them to where they are today, in my opinion. You know, it's so fascinating to me when I think about this, because how in good faith can a person who's achieved maximum success in crypto tell new people to not mimic the same successful methods or strategies that they deployed, and think that they want the best for you? We have to find a way to make it make sense. Forget about even me saying it to you. You don't have to like what I'm saying. You don't. But it's clear that these OGs, either they're insecure, either they're afraid, either they're scared, maybe they're no longer as well off as they say they are. what I don't even know, intimidated. I don't even know what to call it, but it's looking like they do not want to see other people succeed. They do not want to see other groups of individuals come into the ecosystem and do well, or even surpass them, right? In achieving financial independence. But then they're the first ones to tell you about some kumbaya. They're the first ones to tell you, like they had to fight gatekeeping and all these other things. And, it's about, welcoming communities and everyone and everything. But then you're giving mixed messages when people want to see what it is that it took, what type of discipline, what type of fortitude, what type of presence of mind, what type of personal commitment and sacrifices took place to win. And you want to redirect them and present smoke and mirrors and lies. And then when individuals like myself, individuals like Pulse Nation and other hardcore people who are to this day still want to believe in RH and the ecosystem speak, we're the villains. Make it make sense, folks. Make it make sense. You wonder why and where did this whole idea, this whole notion, concept of the Hex Cabal come from? Where did that come from? Whether it's real or not, and people automatically just want to, not say it's real. It's just, it's just gibberish, nonsense, and things of that nature, right? Where did these things come from? Where did the idea, did it just fall out of the sky? Do I want to believe that there's a Hex Cabal? No, not at all. I do not want to believe that. But then when you have individuals that behave a certain way, and it seems like it's a group, right? And it seems like they operate in concert and in tandem, and there's somewhat of a hive mentality that's taking place. You have to ask yourself, is there some form of validity related to this cabal business, right? Right? These people are trying to operate in such a way where you think there's like a 1% type of situation going on in Hex pulsechain community, right? The hierarchy. Everyone at the bottom, and these guys and gals think that they're at the top. Controlling, pulling the strings, creating groups, right? Creating secret groups or whatever groups that only, it's like exclusive. You need to be of a certain caliber and qualifications to be a part of these groups. Like the group that was exposed last fall, the Quintillion group, things of that nature. It makes you wonder. I didn't come up with any Hex Cabal. In fact, it was the Cabal that allowed me to really think about the crypto Nore doors and present this to the world. Because you can't rule anything out because of how these people are operating. You're hearing OGs tell you that Richard Hart is gone. He's not fighting. Well, not that he's not fighting, but he's absent. He's no longer around. And leaders have to corral and lead people. Except we see Richard tweet all the time. He's even issued a couple videos since pulsechain launched. Right? The man is tweeting constantly. His approach has been different, but he let these non-believers who were once believers or just simply lucky, let these self-proclaimed OGs tell you it's all no. Hex will never recover. It's down 99.5%. PulseX is a failure. Pulsechain is a lackluster chain because it's a fork of an Ethereum network state fork, and Ethereum is a crappy blockchain. This is what you will hear from people within this ecosystem who were once vying and fighting for Richard and completely vying for his attention, who were once supporters and beating and sounding the horn. Today's a different story. As if the same tools of and the tricks of the trade and the know-how and the same knowledge base, the same strategy, the same know-how to keep yourself relatively safe in crypto and become successful, as if that has since changed. Nothing has changed, but they have. You see, the blockchains, these tokens and these code, parameters and programming and all these things, the network doesn't care about how we feel. It's just there to use. This is why you have to also separate your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions from what's factual. Period. When you're dealing with these things, you're dealing with code, you're dealing with mathematics. It doesn't care how we feel. It doesn't care about us updating our worldviews, any of that. And that's what's important to me, because I don't expect PulseChain, I don't expect Hex to betray, right? To create illusion, to lie to me. I don't expect these T-shares to rug me. I don't expect, PulseX that once was supposed to operate a certain way, in other words, to then tell me that I have to accept 100 other new dexes. Talking about I have to update my worldview. I don't expect Ink Token to really go on the spaces and talk for several hours and erase the spaces. Meanwhile, you're just creating nothing but animosity among people in the community and trying to build a following because you have secret agendas and a deep, deep disdain for Richard Hart. Because that's what people are not telling you. You have to also, folks, learn to listen to what folks are not saying. There is no way you can rationalize insanity. Don't try to make sense out of crazy stuff. Okay? Because this is nothing short of lunacy. What's taking place here? People, you're seeing how folks are operating. It's almost as if they never believed in Richard. Because if they did, the tides would be different now. The vibrations and the thoughts and the morale would be slightly different. A lot of these guys never believed in Richard. They've had someone like a deep disdain for Richard Hart, folks. It's clear. Because the attacking that's taking place towards Richard Hart maxis is it's laughable. It's deplorable. It's almost like, are you serious? Like, you have to wonder and scratch your head and say, huh? Oh, I'm definitely not paying attention to anything you have to say, you anti-maxi. For sure, you made it simple for me. Keep rearing your heads from the grass. Keep rearing your heads, because you're making it simple for not only me, but other folks who think critically and who want to see absolute success for themselves without your input. That's what they're doing, making it very, very clear where they stand. And for that, we should all thank them for exposing themselves, right? Instead of behaving in ways that are just sort of like subversive or clandestine, right? They've actually exposed their hands. They expose how they feel. They expose how they think, and do not really want success for people in the community. only for themselves at whatever cost. You see, one of these things with this crypto Nore doors and Hex Cabal and all these things, of course, you got to understand, folks, if you want to play the game, not only do you have to qualify, but you have to also possibly agree to certain conditions, because nothing is free. These people in the entertainment world, it's suggested that when they do, cross the threshold line and go behind certain doors, etc., and are given everything they wish for until they have to pay up, because everything has a cost. So over here, what are you going to pay? What sacrifices are you going to make for your future, for yourself, your loved ones, people you care about? These are things you need to think about for yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. And clearly, there are people more than I would like to even think are in this community who don't want you to succeed, don't want you to achieve your goals. That is clear, because they say one thing and then say something else and then do other things, presenting inconsistency. It's just what it is, folks. Stevie Wonder could see through that. Ray Charles could see through this. It is what it is. More to come. I'll catch everyone on the next one. Take care.